Hey guys, SoCal Val here. You are listening to the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast.
Welcome everybody back to another Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast. I am your host, Adam Cousins. I've literally just jumped off a podcast with the wonderful Sean Oliver, who was an absolute fantastic guest. If you like your kayfabe commentaries, if you're interested to find out about his book or about the Click This podcast, watch that show and also watch this show right now. We are talking all things, Smackdown and the Summerslam prediction show with my good friend, my co-host, whatever you want to call him, the man of many gimmicks, Dave Robinson. How are you, my man?
Let me talk to you.
Oh, for God's sake, he's got one for this now.
I'm good, mate. How are you?
I hadn't coughed all podcast, and you've done one thing, and it's starting to
set you off.
That's it. Now I'm finished for the whole show. Let's talk to you about. Let's just cover off SmackDown fairly briefly and fairly quickly. It was the go home. It was pretty much what it was going to do. I was surprised that they had Jay and Solo actually having a one-on-one at the end of the show. So we'll just jump straight into the end of it. Jay beat Solo. Second loss. So Cody, I think, was the first one to beat him. Jay was the second. I think SmackDown just done its job as run-of-the-mill go home SmackDown.
Yeah, it was okay. There was a few decent video packages in, just to hype up the matches for tonight, essentially. It was probably a better show than Raw, but that's at the same time there wasn't a great deal to shout about.
Yeah.
It was just decent, really. A solid 7 out of 10, 6.5, 7 out of 10. It was nothing to complain about, but it was nothing to get overly excited about. I think that is fairly deliberate, though, because obviously they want SummerSlam to be the thing that everybody's talking about, not SmackDown.
True, and you're very right. There is one thing that I do want to quickly discuss with you about what happened on SmackDown, because I called it back in April. I sat here, we had a podcast of Andy, who was doing a Raw review at the time, I believe, and I said that my belief was that come SummerSlam, the Street Profits would be turning heel. Now, although the crowd reaction didn't necessarily say that,
they
turned with Bobby, joined Bobby Lashley, and formed potentially, is it Hurt Business? Who knows? That for me was the most important thing that happened on SmackDown beyond everything else.
Yeah, absolutely. I said nothing too significant. That is significant, to be fair. That was something that we've seen, the little backstage meetups, and the last one we saw was the encouraging
suit.
Yeah, to wear, not so much Montez, but yeah. So they were suited and booted, dressed to the nines. They looked great. They come out. They did a number on both the OC and Butch and Ridge, was it?
Yeah, yeah.
So they're kind of back. Lashley is very much with them. He came out onto the stage with them in the aftermath of that. So interesting. Is it the Hurt Business too? Is it a new faction? Are there going to be any others added to it? Time will tell. Will they appear at SummerSlam now that they're announced themselves on the scene? So yeah, that was good.
You think they come on SummerSlam? Do they set up something there?
I think maybe. I think there's the potential. The only thing that would go against them is that I was reading that the reason Becky Lynch and Trish Stratus aren't on SummerSlam is a time thing, and they want to give it the adequate time necessary to blow off the feud, and SummerSlam would have been a bit tight. So perhaps doing this on SmackDown was because of the timing issues come Saturday tonight. So, but at the same time, I wouldn't be surprised if they made an appearance perhaps during the Battle Royal or following the Battle Royal, because there's going to be a lot of guys out there. So yeah, certainly wouldn't be surprised if we see them. But yeah, they're obviously a unit now, and time will tell what that means. I would hope that means that Lashley at least gets elevated right to the very top, and Montez isn't far behind him. which leads to a whole host of fun matches in the future, getting way ahead of ourselves. But yeah, I like that little trio.
Yeah, definitely so. So there's a bit of news. So to be honest, we're not going to touch on SmackDown anymore. It was what it was. It done its job. Shotzi returned. She had a skinhead, near enough, a bit like me at the moment, where I haven't shaved in a couple of days. She come back and chased Bailey away. But there really wasn't anything else of note really that happened.
LA Knight picked up a win against Sheamus.
Yeah.
There was a bit of an interference, wasn't there, and hijinks, but he did pick up the fairly clean victory with his finisher.
It's sloppy though in the middle of that. Did you see the top rope bit?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't like it when people are on verges of these big pushes. And listen, it may have just been they were really the ropes are wet and sweat. We've had it on the show where they've said like people have baby oil when it gets onto the ropes, and it just really makes their ropes extra slippier. So there was a bit of news that I just shared to the group not so long ago. Commentary on Raw and SmackDown is changing as of Monday. Wade Barrett and Michael Cole are now going over to Raw, and SmackDown will be led by Michael Cole, Corey Graves, and Kevin Patrick, who were basically the Raw commentators pretty much. So they're just adding Michael Cole as the third man. There was a lot of people saying that the Raw commentary just wasn't working with Corey Graves and Kevin Patrick. So is this a case of we're bringing the two main guys, Wade and Michael, to Raw, and then Michael Cole is going to be the teacher for Kevin and maybe not necessarily Corey Graves. Corey Graves is good enough to do on his own, but maybe for the Kevin Patrick to sort of nurture him forward.
Yeah, there's moments on Raw when I think that they're actually doing quite a decent job, and they have a little bit of that, and it's a little bit different compared to what you're accustomed with WWE commentary. But there are other times, and with it being a 3-hour show as well, that's a long time to sit there calling a card. So maybe the 2-hour show would be better suited to them. And maybe the hope is that Michael Cole sits in with Kevin Patrick, because as you say, Corey doesn't really need much help.
No.
He's been doing it a long time and he's pretty good at it. Kevin is someone that they're high on, and as I say, he has got potential. So hopefully Michael Cole will at some point hand over the reins fully, and we get that 2-man commentary team on SmackDown, and that's kind of the long-term strategy. And Michael Cole, obviously, Wade Barrett has been phenomenal on Raw, and he really will be missed on SmackDown, but that should really help out Raw as well. So I think that's the case. Is it last chance for Kevin though? If things don't go well, perhaps there's been a lot of different changes on the Raw, in WWE commentary in general over the past few years. We've had was it Mike Adamle? Was it going back?
Mike Adamle. Oh my!
We had the guy off the MMA guy.
Yeah, I can't remember his name, but yeah, I know who you mean. He was one, wasn't
he? Yeah, and we've had obviously who's the football player? The wrestled at WrestleMania.
Oh, Titus O'Neil. No, McAfee.
McAfee, yeah, sorry. I'm not great on the spot thinking of names. But yeah, Pat McAfee, obviously, who obviously left and he went on to do other things. He comes back now and again.
A shit ton of money.
Yeah, which fair enough. But yeah, I think the long-term hope is that Corey Graves and Kevin Patrick can do a good job on the 2-hour show. Wade Barrett continue on Raw. Interestingly, Michael Cole has said recently that he doesn't foresee him doing it for, at some point he will retire to spend more time at home. So yeah, maybe the hope is that
Kevin. Is this part of it then? Do you think is this kind of his retirement? Sort of like I'm leaving on Z day, not necessarily, this could be like a 2 or 3 year thing.
Yeah.
So he might have gone to Vince and said, right, in 3 years' time, I'm gone. So is this kind of his retirement? Kind of, when you leave where you do a handover.
Yeah.
I mean, is this that kind of a longer version of that?
Yeah, it could well be, and get every ounce out of him, squeeze every drip out of him in terms of expertise, his experience. He's a great commentator. I know I have a laughing a joke with Andy calling him his number 1 of all time. And my problem with Cole as being called the number one of all time is really, it was Vince in his ear for a lot of it.
Yeah.
And Michael Cole was more of a mouthpiece, not so much these days. And he is great at what he does, and he wouldn't have done it for as long as he has if he wasn't. So yeah, you like to think now they'll really get the benefit of Cole on both shows, and then ultimately pass on. And hopefully the guy, they've got to be hoping that Kevin Patrick, he's a young guy, that he'll be with them long term. They've lost a lot of commentators over the years as well, and you've only got to look at the Impact commentary team to see that. So yeah, they won't want to spend so much time in someone in Kevin Patrick for him to then not pan out. So yeah, I think this is trying to ensure the long-term success of Kevin Patrick as a commentator.
I like Kevin Patrick. I think he's pretty good. So
yeah,
it's just he's just literally doing that. So excuse me. Let's move on. SummerSlam, one of the biggest pay-per-views of the year. One of the big four. It literally is that. The first match I've got written down is the Battle Royal. We don't know. This is a hard one to predict for various different reasons. One of the reasons it's so hard to predict is we don't know who all the participants are.
Yeah. No.
So we can only go by what we know from Smackdown. And fire away, Dave. What do you think? Who do you think is going to come out of it? How excited are you for it? And are we going to see any surprises?
Well, there were nine superstars on the screen when LA Knight was talking about the match at the start of SmackDown, and those included AJ Styles, Grayson Waller, Sheamus. Could Lashley be entering this? You know, we've just seen him reappear on SmackDown.
Karrion Kross is in it, right?
Karrion Kross is in there, yeah. Obviously, Lashley won the Andre Battle Royal on the SmackDown before WrestleMania. You would think, not necessarily mean it's going to happen, that they will put LA Knight in the position here to win this. I'm just struggling to see what the winner of the Battle Royal gains from it, other than the winner of the SummerSlam. Pardon?
Slim Jim, probably.
Yeah, I mean, why he couldn't at least receive a US title shot? And maybe they could kind of play into that, you know. I won the Battle Royal, I won a title shot, that type of thing. So I am going to go with the obvious choice to a degree, and I'm going to go with LA Knight for the Battle Royal.
No, I'm going to concur with you on that, just because, again, it's so difficult to predict when you don't know who's going to be in it. I'm also expecting perhaps a return of Carlito.
Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be a great moment, because it's been rumored for a while that he's been pretty much ready to go, and he was scheduled for one show, but due to timing issues, they decided to hold back. We haven't had confirmation that he's re-signed, I don't think, but it's just heavily rumored. So, and obviously it was a great showing at Backlash, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So that would be interesting. But I still, even if Carlito did appear, I wouldn't expect that he would win it.
No.
I think it would be either a returning Lashley, perhaps, in terms of returning to the ring, or LA Knight. So I'm gonna, as I don't know if Lashley's even in it, I'm gonna go with LA Knight.
Yep, I'm gonna agree on that one. Excitement rating for that. To be honest, it's hard to put an excitement rate on it when you don't know the people that are in it.
Yeah, I'll go with a 7.
Yeah, I mean, again, I will concur on that, because I can't give you a real excitement rating without knowing everything. Like, I'm not saying knowing everything. I mean, we don't know who's going to win, but we'd like to at least know the participants, but we don't. So anyway, Logan Paul, Ricochet. That's the match that's going to start the show. What are your thoughts on that one? What are you looking forward to it? Is this a match that you can see stealing the show? Who do you think is going over, and what's your excitement rating?
I'm looking forward to it. Incitement ratings are 9 out of 10. I think they're going to have a great match. I like a lot of different styles, and we talk about it at times when we talk about AEW, about a buffet of wrestling, a smorgasbord, if you like, of different styles and match types. So Ricochet, Logan Paul really is a match that I definitely want to see, and I'm glad it's taking place on SummerSlam. I think there's going to be a lot of highlight. They've already, created some highlights from their previous meetings in both Money in the Bank and at the Royal Rumble. So I think they'll be adding to that collection at SummerSlam. I think this is finally the time, because Logan Paul has been in a lot of featured matches and big matches, but he hasn't won many. I know he beat The Miz, but when he's gone up against Rollins and Reigns and others, he's come up short. So I fully expect Logan to pick up the win here. I don't think that majorly hurts Ricochet, because I don't think WWE see him as somebody that's going to be going for their top championships. I think he's kind of upper mid card, or mid card to upper mid card. Yeah. Whereas Logan Paul is somebody I think one day could hold a WWE, either the world title or the universal title down the line. So I think this is a big win here for Logan Paul, and excitement rating is a 9 out of 10.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10. I am stoked for this. I said when this was even rumored to be announced that this would be a show stealer. Listen, Logan Paul's got everyone he's got in the ring with. He hasn't had many matches in WWE, but he's hit the ball out of the park in every single one of them. To put him in the ring with someone who there's a similar style to, but as you'll rightfully say, there's elements here. He's still got a bit of strength about him. He's still going to be bigger than Ricochet and stronger than Ricochet. Ricochet will be quicker than Logan. There's no doubt about that. But when you mix those styles together, and the fact that Logan takes it so seriously, and I hate to say that because I don't like it, but he does. But hopefully, I agree. Logan's going over. Excitement rating 8 out of 10. And then he'll get on an aeroplane. He will land in Dallas or wherever it is, and he'll watch his brother get knocked the fuck out by Nate Diaz afterwards. And then
Swear jar.
Yeah, swear jar. Yeah, and he'll be picking him up off the canvas. So that's
yeah. He's got a busy night, hasn't he?
Yeah, that's what I hope happens.
That's probably why he's going on first, then.
He is. That's exactly the reason. So they can get him back, so he can get to watch his brother get knocked out. If the fight's not fixed. It's much more choreographed than WWE, that is. Anyway, don't
Hype bump.
don't get me started on that. Speaking of MMA, the next match, MMA rules. Shayna Baszler and Ronda Rousey.
Yeah, so this, in terms of the turn from Shayna, Money in the Bank, kind of came out of nowhere. It wasn't Money in the Bank one. It was in the middle of the title match. But I think long term, it was always the plan to have these two go up against each other. But I think Shayna's exit from the company, for whatever reason, perhaps because of a fight with Holly Holm, going back to UFC, doing something as part of this new partnership and this ownership of WWE alongside the UFC, is probably the biggest reason. I fully expect here Ronda to do a friend a little favor and help out Shayna on her way out by laying down on the mat for 3 seconds and letting Shayna win.
Is that how it's going to be, though? Is it MMA rules?
Oh, sorry, yeah, it's not going to be. So, do we know? Is it knockout or submission?
We're in the unknown here. Unfortunately, they've not announced the rules.
Yeah, so I would say it's going to be KO or forfeit of submission. So, yeah, you would like to think here, if Shayna's sticking around and Ronda's not, that Shayna's the one that gets a hand raised in victory.
Yeah,
I'm intrigued by this match, perhaps more than I thought I would be.
Yes.
I'm an 8 out of 10, particularly because they're doing the MMA type as well, and how they can how they produce that. We have seen like this type of match before, in WWE, haven't we? So
NXT done the fight pit with Thatcher and Riddle, which was really good.
Yeah, has there not been a match on the main roster as well?
Probably.
I
can't remember, but they're probably.
Yeah, I can't remember who it was, but I'm pretty sure there was kind of a similar type of thing. But yeah, I am intrigued by this. I'm looking forward to it. It's an 8 out of 10 for me. But Shayna ultimately is my winner.
Yeah, I agree with the winner. I'm actually 8.5. I had zero interest in this until Monday.
Yeah.
The video package, the announcement of MMA rules, it got me.
It's probably the only thing that happened on Raw, wasn't it? Of any note.
Oh yeah,
really.
definitely.
Yeah.
That video, the video packages of those two together. That for me, like Ronda Rousey on the mic is useless. Ronda Rousey doing a UFC style promo, I could watch all day. Shame with shame. Can't stand her on the mic, but you put her doing one of those sort of combat sport sit down packages.
I actually quite like Shayna on the mic, but Ronda, I get what you're saying. She's much better. And maybe they should have done more of that in the past, and that would have solved a bit of a problem for them. But you know, historically, this is wrestling, and the promos are done in the ring.
Yeah.
And she has faltered a little. But yeah, in terms of this match, I think this should be decent.
Oh yeah, it's going to be a lot better now. I mean,
Yeah.
like, you know, as I say, we don't know the ins and outs of it. We're only guessing it's knockout and submission at this stage. But
Yeah.
MMA rules, right? And maybe there's a scorecard.
Yeah.
With
Yeah.
judges. Maybe Dana White's going to be there. UFC. I don't know if UFC have got
Yeah.
a show. I don't know. Who
Yeah,
knows?
it'd be interesting what they do with the ring as well. I didn't see the NXT one, so I'm not sure what they did with that.
With the fight pit, they had like it was like a cage without a roof.
Yeah.
You'd have. I'll send you after it. I can't really explain it. It was unique. It did have like a ring bit, and then it had like another section.
Yeah.
And around it as well. So because I'm sure there's one point it really jumped off the second section onto Timothy Thatcher at the time. So it was interesting. But that doesn't mean they're going to do this. I mean, that was called the fight pit. This is MMA rules. So
okay,
it opens up to interpretation. But yeah, more interested after Monday. Before then, I had no interest. Now I've got big interest in it, and I'm looking forward to seeing how they do it. I'm expecting Ronda, as you say, to do the good thing on the way out, to put a friend over, and to give Shayna the rub. And so can Shayna go on and do whatever's next for her, and Ronda could probably end up getting knocked back out in UFC again because she was always overhyped, in my opinion, in the UFC. So anyway.
What I would like for Shayna is for her to win here, but then perhaps we don't see her for a few weeks and she come back as the killer she was in NXT. That's what I would like. Just give her a couple of weeks and then bring her back and really kind of go all in on her, essentially, as to what they did, which made her so popular in NXT.
Yeah, I agree. That's what they need to do with her. The next match, I'm really disappointed now. I was expecting stipulation. I never got it. It's Cody Brock 3. Look, every week, Cody's come out. The following week, Lesnar's come back. They've had a fight. Then Cody's come out and spoke. The following week, Lesnar's come back and fight. Cody spoke. Lesnar's come back. It is getting like a broken record. I can't wait for this. I have no interest. I've got zero. I don't even care who wins. I'm pretty sure Cody's going over. I could not care less about this match. I don't know what your feelings are about it.
I think they've been limited here by the type of contract that Brock's on and the fact that he does certain appearances. I think feuds like this in the past, we'd have a lot going on kind of away from the arena as such. You know, I'm not necessarily talking about like the home break-ins and those type of things they've done. But I think they just haven't really, other than what's happened in the ring and in the entranceway, there hasn't really been much to talk about. I know they did the bit down the side of the ring in front of Cody's mom in Georgia. It's all been very... Yeah, it could have been a lot better. It's the potential as well that is frustrating because it could have actually been really good. I still think it's going to be okay. My excitement level is probably a 6. I think Cody has got to win this. I think if he doesn't, I think that casts a bit of a dark cloud over his future. I think you can absorb the one loss and the way they did it against Brock, and Brock's Brock. So a lot of people have lost to Brock Lesnar and had perfectly good careers and become champions. But I think, given Cody's story and what happened at WrestleMania and what we expect to build to next year's WrestleMania, I think if Cody loses here, then they might be going in a different direction. In saying that, I'm going to stick with Cody for the win. And as I say, I'm a 6 out of 10 for the excitement level.
Yeah, look, Cody's going over. I've got no excitement at all. It'll be It'll be a standard Brock Lesnar match that we've seen. Won't last massively. Won't go too long, I don't think.
What stipulation would you have gone with that?
They were talking about an old school stipulation. So I was thinking maybe bull rope or belt match or bull rope or like just an old school sort of what you would imagine Dusty doing.
And do you think Brock's just kind of said no to that, or has he got that much power to say I'm not doing this type of match? Or
I mean, it was only stuff that was rumored. I mean, it
yeah,
wasn't necessarily set in stone. It was just as soon as they had the second match, the first thing they come out with was they're going to have a third match and it's going to have a stipulation, and
yeah,
it's a stipulation that you hadn't seen in a while. Those were the words that was now, unless they announce it on the night, and they're more than capable of doing and putting something out there, and it happens that night. But yeah, I was expecting, like as I said, bull rope was mine.
Is there? Do you think with WWE, it's a bit of a tangent, but with WWE, with the network, do you think because they know they're going to get a certain amount of guaranteed people watching it, that there's less focus on that pay-per-view market and trying to sell a show? It seems a bit crazy to say because you think you'd want to the most eyes on it and make the most money as possible. But I just think with the network, they know they've got a nucleus of fans that are going to watch it regardless of what the card is.
Yeah, I mean, they've got 1.3 million subscribers paying a minimum of $9.99 a month. What's that? 10 million, 12 million people?
A lot of million.
Including me, that, you know, pay the money every month to.
Same.
So yeah, including yourself. So look, I mean, there isn't a big market. I mean, for switching gears, and AEW is a big market because they haven't got the streaming, so they need to have these. Impact Wrestling had done, I think they've done 200% more viewers for their last pay-per-view than the last year before.
Yeah,
they've really. I mean, listen, we're not talking massive numbers whatsoever, but for them, that's huge. And congratulations to them for doing that, by the way. And you know, and so for WWE, I don't think they really care so much. I think that's why, like, if The Rock would say, for example, The Rock comes back tonight and it hasn't been hyped, it doesn't need to be.
Yeah, that was my point, really.
You don't, because as you say, they've got a nucleus, 1.3 million subscribers that will watch it. Might not watch it live, watch it when they get up in the morning, like I will. You know, over here anyway. If you're in America, you watch it live 8 o'clock at night. I mean, if it was 8 o'clock at night over here, we'd watch it live. You know, it's when we get Money in the Bank at 8 o'clock, or when we get All In at 6 o'clock. It's actually, you know, when it goes on air. Yeah. You know, we're going to get it live. So no, I don't think they care about it. I don't think they care anymore because it's just not. There's just not a real market for them now.
Yeah, I mean the network has been phenomenal, isn't it? And it was a real kind of early trendsetter in terms of the world of streaming. So you know, finger on the pulse as always from WWE. So yeah, I think that does change the attitude towards selling pay-per-views.
Yeah, I mean it does, mate. I agree with you. They could have sold the pay-per-view on the next match alone, which was Gunther and Drew.
This will be a great fight.
You nailed it right on the head. It's going to be a great fight. I'm really excited for this. 8, 9 out of 10. I don't want Drew to go over yet. Gunther needs to break the Honky Tonk Man's record. 460 odd days as champion, which he does, I think, in October.
Yeah, 465 days. I think the Honky Tonk Man's. Yeah, I think so. I'm much the same. I kind of wish that wasn't in the background, to be honest, because it would be more of a toss up as to who wins. Like the triple threat that we talk about a lot with Sheamus at WrestleMania was awesome. Yeah. I think we knew it was going to be good, but it was actually better than what we expected, which is great when that happens. So with that in mind, the excitement level for this has got to be a 9 out of 10 because of what they've done previously. Unfortunately, I do think the result isn't it really in question, and Gunther ultimately retains, and he will break that streak, which I want that streak to disappear now. I don't want to hear the Honky Tonk Man's name for a while. So that's where I'm at with that one. It'd be interesting how they do it. Do they involve Ludwig and do they involve? So. Yeah, be interesting to see the manner of victory. But ultimately, I think Gunther retains.
Yeah, Gunther retains for me. I've got an 8 out of 10 as well. I am looking forward to it. Cool. To be honest, I'm really looking forward to it. So I'm gonna.
Should be a lot of chops. I'll maybe do a chop count. How many chops do you reckon? I'm going for 25 chops.
Yeah, I was going to say it's going to be over 20. That's for sure. And that'll just be from Gunther. From Drew. There's going to be about 30 odd, I think, in my chops.
All right. Well, you go 13 above, and I'm 13 and less. We'll
You
have a
count and do
little
it when
additional
you
wager.
yeah when you do the results show with Andy. Because obviously I'm not going to be doing the results show tomorrow, guys. I'm at Rev Pro. I can't wait to go to Rev Pro again. I'm going tomorrow, so I won't be on the review or results show. So Dave, I'll leave it up to you to count. I'm sure you
Yeah,
the
I'll
30.
score the victor of the chops an additional point.
Yes, you do that because I think it may come down to that at the moment because we're heading in the right direction with every single match at the minute.
Yeah, so
However,
it might be decided on the
might
chops.
be decided on the chops, and then obviously the closest one to the number, if we're not exact, wins. Women's triple threat next. Bianca, Asuka, Charlotte. The intriguing thing before this is whether EO cashes in or attempts to cash in on this. I'm not. I'm about a 6 to 7. I'm not overly. Again, I'm just the build to this has been crap. To be fair, it's not had it's not had the video package that Shayna and Wanda did or something like that.
Yeah,
It's had a lot more sort of going on in the ring, but it hasn't been great. The match will be good because the three competitors are in there, fantastic. I suppose we could do another additional bonus point to whether we think EO's cashing in.
yeah, we could do. I think because it's been fairly the relationship between Charlotte and Bianca has been fairly I don't know, professional. You know, they haven't really come to blows. They joined forces in a tag team match last week, I think that was.
Yeah.
So I think that's the direction they go in with them too. And I think Asuka ultimately retains because of that.
Yeah.
And I'd really like Asuka to retain because she's felt like a bit of a spare wheel
Yeah.
in this. And she's a talent. She should be thought higher of than that, and I think the fans do. Again, mic skills and on the promos wise, she struggles because she hasn't got she's not English speaking, and she hasn't got the greatest grasp on the language. Or at least, she probably has, but in terms of doing a promo and having a conversation in English, it's the two different things altogether. I think Asuka would really benefit from a good manager at the same time to do more of her talking for her. At the same time, I do love her as she is. So I hope Asuka retains. I hope in terms of excitement level, 7 because of the element of the cash in from Io Sky. I don't think she cashes in. I think something will happen, but I think it'll be one of those where no, she didn't actually cash it in. They'll be fighting or they'll be scrapping in between Charlotte and Bianca, and that gets so heated that it kind of overshadows everything else that's going on, and there's no cashing.
So and this is not because I want her to win. It's just because of who she is. I think Charlotte's going to somehow walk out of the title, and I don't like saying that because she goes away on holiday, she comes back, wins the title, leaves, goes back on holiday, comes back, wins the title. That's just her cycle. So that I want Asuka. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
but I just think Charlotte. I just think they're just going to put it back on Charlotte. I don't know why. I've got no interest in Charlotte Flair whatsoever. And unlike you, I agree. I think there's going to be a failed attempted cash in, not cash in. And I don't think I think when EO does cash it, and I'm not sure that she's going to get it anyway.
No. And I think there's more to happen between EO and Bailey first before we get to any successful or unsuccessful cash in. And this is an oversight by me, is Bailey Shotzi on SummerSlam, or is that just something that's happening in the background and we haven't got a match announced yet? Okay,
exactly what it is. Unless they announce it, we don't know. That's the thing. It's a very small card for.
Yeah, that's why I asked. Really, I thought that was going on.
The reason why, from what I hear, is the main events go in and out.
Yeah, and I think Rhea Ripley's struggling with injuries, isn't she? And that's why she hasn't been
no match at all.
Yeah, because she hasn't been as competing as much, but I think she is limited by whatever injury she has. And because obviously at SummerSlam, you'd expect Rhea Ripley to be defending the
You would
title.
expect all titles on the line.
Yeah, but there's been absolutely no kind of build towards even a challenger for Rhea.
There was Raquel.
Raquel, but she's injured as well in storyline. So
it's
maybe they're just waiting for Rhea to get fully fit, and then they can crack on with that.
Yeah, I would have thought so. The next one is going to be another bonus point for this one. It's Seth and Finn, and it's do we get a Priest cash in? Look, this is the third time now that they fought.
Yeah,
the match quality is always going to be brilliant because they're two guys that are fantastic in the ring. Seth's already won 2.
Yeah,
I don't know why they're having a third. Now, the only reason I think that they may have a third is because Finn may be going over tonight, and it's been 7 years since he won.
It was at SummerSlam, wasn't it?
At SummerSlam. It was against Seth Rollins. He got injured. He won the title. He had to relinquish it. I think I'm going to go for Seth winning tonight. Finn, winning tonight, the championship. I don't think Priest is going to cash in on him yet. So I don't think it's going to be a teased again, and they've been teasing it for weeks, and I don't like the cash-in teasers. I prefer it when they just do it, because it does take away the mystique when they do it, when they come out, because is it going to be one of those ones where they don't work? But I think it's Finn's time, and I think he deserves it. So I'm going for the Judgment Day, literally having every titles and a briefcase.
So you no cash in or a tease?
I don't.
No.
A tease cash in, but it won't happen. And I think the tease cash in will be how Finn ends up winning the match.
Yeah, that's interesting. I like that. So this is the match for me that I just cannot decide on, and for that I've got to go over 9 out of 10 for the excitement. It's not like a WrestleMania style 10 out of 10. This is what I must say, but I'm very intrigued as to how this goes, because much as I said earlier about Cody Rhodes, I think this will kind of dictate Finn Balor's WWE career from here on in. He simply has to win this match. He lost against Edge at WrestleMania.
Yep.
He lost against Seth Rollins twice. Mm-hmm. I know the last one was at Money in the Bank. In a 3-match series, it's not too often you get 3-0. I mean, you do sometimes, Seth and Cody.
Yeah.
I mean, it happens. And I think if it does happen, that kind of shows you what the higher ups in WWE consider Finn Balor, whether they think that he's world championship material or not. If they don't do it here, I fear they never will. In saying that, Seth's reign hasn't been a particularly long one yet. He hasn't held the title for that great amount of time. And when you look at what's happening with some of the other titles in terms of the Universal, the Intercontinental, and even the US title at this stage, they're decent reigns. So I am really split, and I really haven't come up with my answer yet. I'm a 9 out of 10. I think, again, we're going to get Finn Balor and Damian Priest at some point. But the way the Judgment Day have been booked in recent months, they've kind of taken over Raw. And I think it would be very premature to kind of cut that short now.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I like what you said about the teased cash-in.
Here's another one. Here's another curveball. Seth wins, right?
Yeah.
Finn destroys him afterwards. Like there's what happens. It happens. Finn goes absolutely crazy. So maybe Seth picks up a low blow style win, right? Finn loses his nut, absolutely goes crazy, and then calls Priest out for the cash in, and Priest cashes in and wins. Doesn't harm the Judgment Day.
Yeah, I could see that. Like if there's some kind of roll-up pin and Finn getting caught off guard and then losing it. But then I think rather than Finn then calling Damien out, I think Damien comes out. Yeah. And perhaps Finn stops him from cashing in, which then splinters off.
Hesitant cash in.
Yeah, and then it ultimately doesn't happen, and then that splinters off into another story. And Seth gets out there with a title. Finn feels hard done by. Yeah, I'm undecided, but just to make things interesting in terms of the predictions, and the fact that we've kind of picked the same one for the majority of the matches, other than the women's title match, I'm going to go with a Seth Rollins retention here, but I'm not sure, and I am really excited for this match. 9 out of 10.
Well, tribal combat. Now, we didn't really get an understanding of what it is. It's just a no holds bar match, as far as I'm aware. I mean, again, they've not. This is the thing that's been disappointing me about this whole this part of the. And this could be the final part of the bloodline. We might not get another bloodline thing after this. It may be that Roman gets new opponents, Lashley and Bray Wyatt when he comes back, and people like that. And
just to chime in here. Did you hear the report that the higher up in WWE had said to a source, a journalist that had got a source within WWE, a higher up, had said the Bloodline story ends whenever the F Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman decide it does.
I was on Twitter a little minute ago. I did sneak a little look at it whilst we've been talking. Yes, I had seen that. But I mean, this could mean, I'm not saying the bloodline's going to end, but I mean, this whole part of the bloodline be the bloodline.
Yeah,
this could be it after this, and it could be that Roman goes back to wrestling other people. The likes of, as I said, the Lashleys, the Brays, the LA Knights, whoever. So I'm a bit disappointed with the whole booking of this. I don't know what tribal combat is. I know they're wrestling for that little fucking thing that goes over his head, and then whoever wins becomes tribal chief and wins the title, and all of this jazz. Look, in my mind, never in a million Sundays is Jey Uso winning this tonight. I don't care what people want to yarn they want to spin. There's no chance in hell Jey Uso's walking out of this match tonight with that title. And I don't know how. Whether there's talk of Jimmy costing Jey. I can't see that unless it's accidentally. I can't see them splitting up yet. I can see it. I know that when they were with Ariel Helwani interview, they said that they wanted to have a one-on-one at WrestleMania. Jimmy and Jey.
Yeah.
So could it happen? Absolutely. But for me, not in a million years does Uso walk out of this with the title. I'm intrigued, but not overly intrigued. It's going to be long. That's something that I know. This match will take its time. It's like the
entrance will be long enough.
Well, yeah, you're right. I mean, excuse me. Yeah, Roman walks out the title, probably 45 minutes to an hour. Jimmy will probably be there, but I can't see anything other than a Roman win.
Yeah, I'll probably go into fantasy booking mode in this answer. I think they've got to do something more than Roman Reigns just retains the title. I think what they did at the end of the Jey solo match on Smackdown, like Jey continued the beatdown to try, and it wasn't like a significant one, but they could say that Solo was taken out by Jey after the match, so he won't be there, or there's uncertainty over whether he's going to be there. I certainly don't think he comes out with Roman. I think Roman comes out with Paul Heyman, and I think Jey comes out on his own. I think we'll be seeing the rest of the bloodline in terms of we'll be seeing Jimmy, we'll be seeing Solo at some point. Whether that's just in the aftermath, and maybe there's even more members of the family, such as Rikishi and
Alpha and Seeker.
Yeah, I think there should, if it's tribal combat, I think they're more creative than just having a match which Roman kind of cheats to win, or doesn't cheat because there's no rules, but he doesn't win by a wrestling move as such. There's some kind of hijinks going on for him to retain. I think something has to happen at the end of this. And do we see at the end of the night the bloodline standing strong together again? It's interesting because Jey Uso is phenomenally over and talented, and we saw that during the pandemic and the 2 matches I think they had previously. I think one was a Hell in a Cell, I think. But so the match quality is going to be great, and they're going to have a long match, and I'm going to be content with everything that happens there. It's just the finish and the way they do it, because everybody's expecting Roman to retain, and everyone's expecting Roman to not only stay the Universal Champion, but the Tribal Chief. But I think they have to do something to close the show that leaves us saying, wow, that we weren't expecting that, or that was great, or that was at least quite entertaining. So there is an element of intrigue around it for me. Although I think the actual winner of the bout is predictable. So I'm going for Roman Reigns, and I'm going an 8 out of 10.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think they do need to do something different on this. They can't just have Solo come out and hit a spike.
Yeah,
we've seen all that.
Jimmy turning on Jay is the go-to one.
But it's too obvious now, though.
Yeah, it is to a degree.
It's something that you would expect to happen, though.
I think we would, as long-term wrestling fans. I think newer fans, kids perhaps, would be a little bit more naive, thinking that in the way that Solo took out Jimmy, there's no way that he could align himself with Reigns and Solo again. But we all know that type of thing happens in wrestling quite a lot over the years, and things that happen as bad and as heinous as they might seem can be forgotten pretty quickly. So it wouldn't be too surprising to us, but maybe some people would be quite surprised. But it's the manner in which they do it, right? So if Jimmy just cuts in the match, then yeah, that's a bit weak. But if Jimmy really kind of goes to town and destroys Jay and really puts him out, and we don't see Jay for a while, and they build then to that match at WrestleMania, that would be quite compelling for me as well. We've never seen it. We haven't really seen any kind of dissension between Jimmy and Jay a great deal. I know when Jimmy first came back initially, when the bloodline was starting out, but that didn't last a great amount of time. So yeah, maybe it's make him now or never in terms of that. There's probably not a better way they could do it, and it would be typical of Roman's reign.
No pun intended. Yeah, I don't know. Let's just quickly finish up with surprises. Do you foresee someone that was potentially he's died down a bit recently, but there was quite a big hoo-ha last week about a certain Hollywood star coming on. Is that still a possibility for you?
We spoke about it, didn't we? I think it was last week's Smackdown review. We talked about the potential of The Rock appearing, Mr. Dwayne Johnson himself.
Yeah,
it's not beyond the realms of possibility, and you would think that he might be backstage at the very least, given the fact that in Hollywood, the writers are on strike at the minute.
Yeah.
So you would think he may be there. Will he be in front of the camera? It remains to be seen. They could certainly do something very, very interesting with it, but I couldn't see The Rock costing Jay the match or Roman the match or anything like that.
No, I couldn't see that.
I think it would be more of a something at the end and a potential stare down, or maybe an arm raise, or something to close the show.
Could that be how the winner gets? The Rock presents him with the thing they put over their shoulder, and
maybe. But then that would kind of be The Rock kind of bowing down to Roman.
Or does he do that and then give him a rock bottom? Am I just thinking too much ahead now? I'm just going crazy at this point.
We're fantasy booking. But I don't think they come to blows. I think at the best it'd be a stare down. And what are we going to see at the end of SummerSlam? The Rock and Roman Reigns were face to face. Roman was, victorious. But what does this mean for his future? And is The Rock back? And is he going to challenge him for the title? So I think it depends how they do it. Could Afa and Sika or Rikishi be involved, and Roman kind of turns on them? Because could Roman go after Rikishi, and then that brings The Rock out? There's these things. I'd certainly think they are more creative and they're capable of doing something more interesting and compelling. Which you said to introduce the show, one of the big four. One of the party of the summer. I think we need to be talking about this show when it goes off air. And if Roman just wins in typical style and typical of his reign so far, then I think we're going to be a little bit disappointed and it's going to be a bit anticlimactic. But we are setting ourselves up for a fall.
I still believe that they're going to want to do something because of All In at the end of the month. I still think they're going to want to hit something out of the park to say, follow that, fuckers. Sweat. You know what I mean? I don't.
Yeah.
I'm always of that belief. I know Andy doesn't believe it. I know he doesn't think WWE cares what AEW does. I think because of where they're going and because of the tickets sold, WWE are going to want to put on something tonight to sort of say, follow that, boys.
I really hope so, because that competitiveness brings out the best in every company. And
it does.
We've talked about it, and WWE are never going to come out on record and say we're worried about AEW or because they're doing this, we've decided to do this. But we've seen stuff happen, even going back to the Wednesday Night Wars, of them doing things that had to be a reaction to what the other company were doing. So I just want them to put on the best show possible, put on the best matches, entertain us, and leave us at the end wanting more, wanting us not only wanting to tune into Raw on Monday, and SmackDown on Friday. And I don't think it's much to ask, given the talent there, given the brains they have behind this story. So yeah, I really do hope that we kind of review. I'm reviewing the show tomorrow with Andy, and I'm blown away, not only after watching Collision tomorrow morning, but watching SummerSlam as well, that I'm excited about both shows, both companies.
There you go. And Dave's kind of nicely followed on, because what I was going to say was tomorrow we'll be back with not only the SummerSlam review, but the review of Saturday Night Collision with our good pal Gary Joe from the Honor of the Elite Facebook page is joining you, I believe. You're going to be fronting that ship tomorrow for us, Dave, are we?
I believe so, yeah. I'm not sure if Parker's going to be joining us. He's been a bit mysterious. We might have a Parker return as well as somebody else at SummerSlam. But at the minute, yeah, myself and Gary Joe will be talking Collision, and then I'll be joining Andy and reviewing SummerSlam tomorrow afternoon.
Like I said, I'll be at Revolution Pro Wrestling tomorrow, having a whale of a time with another outstanding card of British wrestling talent. I can't wait to go and see those guys. But guys, listen, this has been the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast with a brief overview of SmackDown, and more importantly, the SummerSlam prediction show. He has been Dave Robinson. I have been your host, Adam Cousins. And until tomorrow, when these guys do it all again, please buckle down and stay safe, and good night.